Artificial intelligence is undoubtedly a mechanism that is being used to convince mankind that they can be smarter than God and brighter than God, and the reality of it is no such thing will ever happen. However, we are on a fast-paced run to destroy mankind because of our sinful patterns and our sinful way of thinking, and we are undoubtedly in the last days. Okay, warning. What I'm about to read is going to sound remarkably apocalyptic, and that's because it actually might be, but let me read this to you nonetheless. This is an article that was published, and we're going to talk about that in just a second, but it says this. It says, within 30 years, we will have the technological means to create superhuman intelligence. Shortly after, the human era will be ended. Now, I argue in this paper that we are on the edge of change comparable to the rise of human life on Earth. The precise cause of this change is the imminent creation by technology of entities with greater human intelligence. Folks, I want you to understand that this was a paper, a technological paper that was published by NASA, right? Or at least NASA sponsored it, by a computer scientist and author by the name of Werner Vinge. And the paper is entitled The Coming Technological Singularity, How to Survive in the Post-Human Era. And by the way, this paper was not published yesterday like you think it might have been. It was published in 1993. Folks, 30 years ago. Unbelievably prophetic in nature on a whole bunch of levels. And let me just add to a bit of the ominous and yet very prophetic implications of what this person actually said by simply saying that we are repeating history. And when I say we are repeating history as in the days of Noah. We are repeating history as the Bible said we are repeating history, because if you remember, there was a point in time in human history where we actually tried to remove our consciousness of God from within ourselves by replacing God. Yes, that is the spirit of Antichrist, because when we say anti, it does not mean against, it means instead of, and we are seeking to replace our consciousness of God by convincing ourselves that we are God and taking on his role by creating things that only he can create. Artificial intelligence is undoubtedly a mechanism that is being used to convince mankind that they can be smarter than God and brighter than God, and the reality of it is no such thing will ever happen. However, we are on a fast-paced run to destroy mankind because of our sinful patterns and our sinful way of thinking, and we are undoubtedly in the last days. Understand this, folks. Over the years when this has happened in the past, God has chosen to show his mercy by judging the world and preventing the world from getting to a place of complete and total annihilation, thus annihilating the human race. But this time, God isn't going to do that. This time, God is going to allow it to come to a place where he will finally intervene by judging the world. This time, when he does judge the world and gives an opportunity for the Jews to come back to him and get right, at the end of it all, he's going to destroy it all. And those that followed him and chose to obey him will be the only ones left standing, and those who didn't will be suffering into eternity. Folks, it's very simple. It is time for us to look up to Almighty God. We should have never taken our eyes off of him. The point is this: we must seek him with a whole heart. We must integrate him into every aspect of our life. Politics, the school, every part of our life, every area, every nook and cranny. We need to bring God back into the picture instead of removing him. Why? Because more than ever we need him. Folks, it's that simple. It's time to get closer to God more than ever before. We are living in a time in human history that is experiencing the greatest amount of spiritual warfare ever, secondary only to the time when Christ was crucified and the time that Adam and Eve chose to rebel against God in the garden. There is no other time in human history where we have seen such heightened spiritual activity, and it's time for us to start functioning that way. Time is running out. Jesus could come at any moment, and it's time for us to open up our eyes to see that. God bless you guys.